Hello YouTube, Kentucky Snuff here on a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday afternoon. The sun is shining. It's really not that cold in Kentucky/Tennessee today, which I'm very thankful for. I'm tired of bundling up in like 3 jackets to keep warm. I am joined today by Paul, Uncle Squinty. He is currently upstairs retrieving pizza. The man's gotta eat, and for that I commend him. Today's pizza! Today's experiment, I wouldn't even call it really an experiment because it's kind of wasn't planned and it just happened sporadically. I'm going through a couple of snuffs here that I've let sit for a while, and I'm just kind of comparing what I get now from what I remember. Paul is joining me on my little journey today. We did a little bit of this previously, but there's still a lot to go through, so let's get started here. I'm going to start off, what's a good one to start off with? I'm going to grab this Toke Almond Toast. I've had this probably 4 or 5 months, and it's just sat there sealed away in the tin. I haven't really goofed with it much. The almond scent from the tin is gone. Very much gone. I still smell the nice toasty Toke tobacco thing going on in there, which I do enjoy quite a bit. So let's grab a snuff spoon, get a little bump going.
As soon as I set my pizza down, I'll join you with the almond toast.
Okie dokie.
Set this down here.
Well, first off, I'm definitely getting the toast part of it. The almond is really not there very much anymore. It's basically faded its way into oblivion. That's not to say some of it's not there. Some of it is there, because there is a little bit going on. But it's not as strong as when I first purchased it. It is no longer fresh. However, it's still enjoyable in my nose.
It's kind of a surprise because these tins are so good. I've got my almond toast open right now. Give me a second here. And yeah, the tin note, there's no almond whatsoever anymore. There's like nothing in the tin note. It has not dried. It's the same consistency and moisture that it always was. Let's take a pinch here.
I'll do another. For science.
The almond is not that sweet candy almond. It's faded a whole bunch of the tin. I agree. It's almost not there, but there is enough of it that if I had to do a blind taste test, if I didn't have a marked tin, I could still tell this was an almond toast, but just barely.
Yeah,
That's sad.
that is really sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still enjoyable, but it's not. It's definitely not on the same level that it used to be. For that, I am deeply sorry for myself and for you, because you can no longer enjoy it the way it was intended.
Well, now, how old is your tin?
It's 4 or 5, 6 months, something like that. I got it really early on in my snuff odyssey.
Yeah, this tin is from July of 2014. So it is 6 months old, but I'm very disappointed of the way that almond is faded out of there. Again, the base tobacco, perfectly fine.
Oh yeah.
So what are we looking at next?
I'm going to grab my natural toast here.
All right, I've got mine right in my hand.
Now, a little
Thanks to
disclaimer.
Mrs. Squinty's excellent brailing job. I was able to get my-
TNT over there.
That's what it says. TNT. Natural.
Dynamite!
Now, since
TNT!
there are no flavors, quote unquote, per se to fade from this, I would expect this to have fared a little bit better. Maybe the aging has even helped this. Let me smell the tin here. It smells the same.
Yeah,
What do you think?
it smells the same as I remember it.
I'm going to take a big fat pinch of this. There's not enough almond to confuse my nose, trust me.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Whoops.
Woo. It's certainly better than I remember it from when I first received it. I really wasn't a big fan.
I agree, and right now, to me, this is almost identical to the Wilson's Irish High Toast number 22. Um, and therefore, getting closer to that HDT sort of level of flavor.
Yeah.
I like this in the current condition it's in. I think it's very, very good, and this cellared very well in 6 months' time.
Oh yeah, I think I might get out what I want out of it. Put it in one of my little travel jars that I have. Or no, I already have some set aside. I'll cap it off and then let this sit for a while longer.
I think it's a good idea, and I think that the next time I buy this stuff, it is going to be in the large tin. I've got one of the 10-gram tins, and I like this. It's cellared very well, and I think this is one that I could cellar, so I'm going to go ahead and get a 25-gram tin the next time I buy it. We'll try to mute here, Michael. Sorry.
No problem. Let's see, what next? What next? Oh, bless me. I think next I'm going to look at lime toast, which I decanted into a mason jar, as you can see. So I do not have any in its original tin. I have the tin, but it's just scraps. And actually, I think I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison here of how it did in the tin and how it did in the mason jar.
Hello.
So first,
Who's calling? Hello. Yes. Hello. Get away.
all right, side-by-side comparison here. First, from the lime toast of the tin, let's see how it fared. Yeah, it smells drastically different just from the tin, and in the mason jar they smell like two completely different snuffs. Whereas the lime toast in the original tin smells like how I remember it. The one in the mason jar smells, I don't know, it's chalky, fermented sort of smell. Not really sure what's going on in there. Now in the nose, the lime toast from the tin smells exactly as when I first bought it, so it didn't fade in the tin. But from the mason jar, it's...
Now, I will tell you that my particular tin of lime toast is almost 3 years old, and it did very, very well in that 3 months of just staying tightly sealed in its original 25-gram tin and stored at about 65 degrees. It did very, very well. It has survived the last 3 years perfectly. In fact, the lime is a lot fresher and less artificial now than when I first bought this tin. I think that aging this one made an improvement.
It certainly did. And I'm actually glad that I had a few scraps left in my original tin from where I decanted, because it shows me personally how it fares if you decant it into a mason jar or something and stow it away, whereas just leaving it in the original tin.
And with some snuffs, maybe it would be a good idea to put it in a jar, but in this case, no.
Yeah, because in the jar it's kind of chalky, fermented. I don't really know how to describe it. It's not bad, but I think next time I buy a tin of lime toast, I'm just going to let it sit in the tin, and as I did with the natural toast, leave it in the tin and just take some and put in a little jar or something to carry with me, which I have a couple of here. Here's the jars that I'm talking about. They're just little trial size jars you can buy at Walmart. You get 2 of them, little plastic tins for 97 cents. Not a bad deal.
Heck of a deal. And they're airtight. Are they transparent, translucent?
Yeah, they're transparent. You can see right into
So
them.
jars like that, you're going to want to keep them away from light.
Yeah, keep them away from the light. But I mean, these little jars are just, it's like carrying a snuff box for me. I wouldn't use these to store them for long-term use. I'd use it to carry with you. Especially in the case of something like a Wilson's tin, once you've got mastered opening it and it doesn't close the way it used to and it just pops open, you really don't want that popping off into your pocket. I've had it happen. So let's see.
Once.
More than once, yeah. Next up, let me find it. I just had it a minute ago. Is the taupe toast and marmalade.
Right, I'm right with you. My 25-gram tin, also about 3 years old.
This I also stored in a mason jar and left some in the tin. I'm going to go grab that for a side-by-side comparison. You can do your thing, Paul, really quick.
Well, I'm telling you, again, after nearly 3 years in the tin, stored in a cool, dark place, there is no change in this. The snuff has lost no flavor whatsoever. Again, I attribute that to Toke's excellent screw lid tins. But this is one that I've always said to me smells like baby aspirin, and I'm sticking to that. Flavor did not suffer with storage. It's just not my favorite toast snuff with fruit flavors. I leave that to toast jelly from milk. Even so, I'm impressed by the way this has lasted for 2 years or 3.
Okay, so now I've got my mason jar here. Let's smell these side by side. From the tin, it smells exactly the same. There hasn't been a change to the tin note from the mason jar. However, the marmalade has actually strengthened in scent. It smells a lot stronger, and it no longer smells like baby aspirin in the mason jar. It actually smells like, you know, marmalade or something that you bought from the store. But how will it fare in the nose? Unfortunately, you're going to have to listen to me blowing my nose because I've got too many snuffs up in here to make a fair comparison. So I'm just going to do this really quick off camera.
This is for Paul.
Beautiful. All right, fresh nose. Don't think I have any boogers on my face. No. Okay, good to go. Now, let's see how this does from the tin. Take my snuff spoon. Yep. Still toast and baby aspirin, as you've said. Smells exactly the same. But from the
But how
jar,
great is that putting it in the jar naturalized that orange scent?
let's see how it fared. Yeah, that's completely overtaken the snuff. I mean, it's not even toasted marmalade anymore. It's just like, it's kind of like St. Clement's now, in a sense.
Really?
There's a difference between them. The St. Clement's is more crisp, whereas the toast marmalade in the jar is kind of like you're juicing an orange or something. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I like it. I'm a big fan of citrusy scents. So I'm going to have another spoonful.
Good. While you're doing that, I'd like to comment on a couple of Wilsons that I have here. Now, and these are toast snuffs we're talking about. According to Wilson's website, these tins are supposed to last on the shelf, if unopened, tape still sealed, for 2 years. After which time, once it gets open, you need to put them in the refrigerator, they say, for up to 6 months more. I have cellared this now for 5 months at 65 degrees open, of course with the lid sealed. And I've always thought that this particular Wilson's toast is almost identical to the high dry toast, which I'm going to be comparing it to in just a second. Now I'm going to powder some of this on my boxcar and give it a shot. I've warmed the pinch. Okay, after 3 months' time in the tin, not refrigerated, tobacco has matured a little bit. It is sadly picking up just a hint of aluminum. So I'm getting just a little bit of the flavor of the metal of the tin in this. Now this has been stored dry, so that's not an issue. It's the president again. Michael, you go right ahead.
Which one were you doing?
The HDT, I'm sorry, Irish High Toast number 22.
All right, I have that on hand. Mine is also sit for a while, 4 or 5 months. From the tin, I feel like it's lost some of its scent. It still smells toasty, but it just doesn't hit me. Typically, if you shove your nose down into a toast, because of how fine it is, you know, some of that powder just kind of goes up and you might choke a little bit, but that's not the case from this one. Not at all. But how will it do in my nose? That's what I wonder. Yeah, this one is just faded for me. It's completely different. It's still a little bit toasty, but it just doesn't have that oomph to it that I remember.
The one thing I might say is that your toast marmalade you just said would benefit from jarring. This may be another one that could benefit from being decanted into a tightly sealed glass jar.
I think I have a jar of that. I keep running away to go do that, so I think I will go grab that.
All right. And again, my problem with this isn't so much the flavor loss, but that I am getting a tiny little bit of the scent of the metal of the tin. Not pleasant at all. Now I also have an Irish High Toast number 21 here. And this is still sealed. And I'm going to be very curious to see how well this has cellared for almost a year and a half, while still sealed with the factory tape. Not going to open it today, but I'm hoping that when I eventually do open that tin, it will be as fresh as the day I bought it.
Alright, so I found both my number 22 and my Irish Delight. So
good, I've got my Irish Delight right here.
Now, from the jar, my IHT 22 smells like a saltine cracker. Zesta or whatever choice that you choose for a cracker is what it smells like for me. But in the nose, yeah, it's like a saltine cracker. It's like I've shoved a cracker up my nose. Not crack, but cracker. There's an ER on the end of that, YouTube. Do not arrest me.
You shoved a cracker up your nose.
Certainly. Ooh, throat hit.
That doesn't actually sound very pleasant, Mike.
Yeah, this one may not benefit very well from a jar. Don't get me wrong, I like crackers, so, but I'm not gonna smell crackers, obviously. So either this has just gone completely the wrong way, or I still need to let it sit for a while. I don't know. So I'll stow that away for 6 more months and see what happens. On to the Irish Delight.
Yeah, if I can get my stupid tin open, but Lord!
Yeah, I know what you mean. Freaking vacuum tins. Ugh, there we go.
Well, you just go ahead. I'm going to keep jerking on this till it comes off.
Alright, from the tin. Still smells really toasty. I think it might have faded just a tad bit. And from the jar, it's gotten stronger. A lot stronger. There's certainly a really buttery smell from the jar, whereas I don't get that from the tin. In the nose, from the tin, It's kind of faded a little bit. Just a little bit. It's still pretty good, but it's faded quite a bit. And from the jar, whoo, that burned. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this certainly benefited from going in the jar. It's gotten
Well,
a lot.
if nothing else, the jar would have to be easier to open. Ouch!
Well, yeah, this did really well in the jar. It's gotten stronger as far as the smell in my nose. I still do not prefer it to HDT or natural toast for that matter.
But it's not supposed to be the same stuff at all.
It's
I
not.
mean, there are a lot of people who contend this is barely a toast.
Well, it's certainly gotten toastier in the jar.
Well, I'll have to take your word for it because I still can't get this lid off.
Jeez. Excuse me.
I'm surrendering on this. I'm going to have to take a blowtorch to it.
Or just do what Martin Bluen does and just slam it on the table. Well, do you have a coin or something around you can use?
I was prying with a screwdriver.
Fair enough. Well, then somebody sealed that and just stomped on it. Then.
Somebody put crazy glue or something on
Gorilla
it. I
glue.
swear. Now, I've got one here that you do not. I don't think.
Which one?
Red Crest from Samuel
I
Gowan.
do not have the red crest. I have blue crest, but that's just in a different thing on its own.
Red Crest is called a toast, and when you stick your nose into the tin, you get a little toasty sort of scent, but this is more similar to me to a Viking Brown or something like that. But in the nose, it's toasty, not buttery. It's toasty with a little bit of smoke to it. A very pleasant stuff, but and unchanged in the tin since July. Absolutely unchanged. So this is one would sell it well in its vacuum tin. As I suspect the Irish Delight sort of did for you.
It did. The smell got stronger, I guess, and it burns more.
Well, that's all the toasts I have to compare right now. But what we've discovered is the same treatment doesn't apply for every snuff. Some of the snuffs, including the lime toast, were better if left in the tin. Others, like the toast marmalade, were left if jarred and allowed to drink in a glass or plastic jar. It's very valuable, and every once in a while, we should all go through our snuffs to see how they're faring. Even if it's a snuff you don't particularly like, try to remember what it smelled like. Go back to it. Either you'll discover that you like it a lot more because of the changes that happen to it, or at least you can make sure it's still fresh. That's all I've got. Thanks, but Michael, thanks for letting me play.
No problem, and once again, thank you, YouTube viewers, for spending 23 minutes of your time watching some schmuck from Kentucky and some crazy old man down in a basement.
Eating pizza.
I do have an announcement coming to my channel very soon. I won't indulge on that. It has to do with making a new channel, but thank you
I
guys.
thought you're finally coming out.
Yes. I'm coming out to say I love snuff. Thank you for watching.